The day I graduated college in 2005, I decided to start a rental company. It took a few years until it became successful enough to be my full-time job, but now it's all I do. My hope is to help you by sharing my knowledge.
All right, so tents on decks. You'll get phone calls for people who want to cover their deck. Their deck is attached to their house, and it makes logical sense to have it covered so you can extend the space for your vent from your house to your deck. In the past, we have done tents on decks. Some of them are easy. The majority of them are hard and way more complicated than you'd ever think. Currently, we only try to stick to if a tent has more than enough space to fit on the deck. If someone calls up and says they want a 15 by 15 frame tent on their deck and their deck is 15 by 15, it's not going to fit. Their deck may actually measure 15 by 15, but the railings, they come in a few inches. The house, most of my frame tents are 8 feet tall, but the side of the house before the roof comes down is less than 8 foot tall, so it can't fit under that. So you need a foot or two for that. So realistically, if someone says they got a 15 by 15 deck, a 12 by 12 frame tent would be better. A 15 by 15 is not going to fit. You're going to have legs hanging off and get extenders for the legs and make the whole thing longer. So if someone called with a 15 by 15 deck, I would do a 12 by 12. If someone called with a 10 by 10 deck, I just wouldn't even do it because the 10 by 10 is not going to fit. It's going to, all those factors are going to cut into tent fitting. Someone called with a 20 by 20 deck, I would do a 15 by 15. Now, we've gotten into some sticky situations, 20 by 40 deck. We show up, and because of all those things with the railing and the roof, you can't get it all the way to the house, and the railing takes some inches off of the actual square footage. We only got 3 legs on the deck, and we got 3 outside with leg extenders to make it level. And then the sidewalls don't work because you put the sidewalls on the side that's off the deck, then you try to shoot it back towards the house, but then there's a railing in your way. So that doesn't work. It just is not a good time. Currently, we just turn them all down. I don't even, if the tent's going to fit even, I just don't do it because then there's steps. There's possibly damaging the house. We, last year, we put a 15 by 15 tent on someone's deck. I think their deck was 10 by 20. So we had some legs hanging off and we had the extenders on it. But as we were setting that tent up, we ripped their screen door. So there's a big possibility of damage. Now, as I was talking, I was showing some tents that I got offline. Those ones seem fairly easy. They look easy once they're set up, but they probably weren't. There was probably some finagling to do. And climbing stairs and getting close to people's house, possibly damaging it. Not fun. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because someone called and said that we did their tent like 3 years ago in March on their deck. And I was like, that seems silly. I don't do tents in the winter. Plus, I don't do tents on decks. I hate them. But she wanted me to come out and look. So I went out and looked anyways. And then once I got there, I remembered. So it was before my policy of coming up with I don't do tents in the winter, and before my policy of I'm done with decks. So I didn't remember her on the phone, but when I got there, I remembered. And I remembered how annoying it was. We actually did a 15 by 15 frame tent on her deck. And a bunch of, I think 3 legs were hanging off, and we had to use extenders to make the walls larger or whatever. And then, as you can see in the corners of this deck, there is like benches. So I put this off onto another company because they can do maybe a 10 by 20 on there. The only problem is these benches. Now you got to have shorter side poles in order for the tent to fit on there. So basically, I just turned it down. I didn't want to do it this year. I remember it being a pain. I just don't want to do it. I'm not chasing the money. I'd rather put up a 15 by 15 in a parking lot that weekend instead of trying to fight with a deck. Now, another guy that I work with, he's only got pole tents, and he wants money. He loves money. He'll say yes to everything because he needs to pay off things. So he called me, and his situation was there was a 2 foot tall deck, 15 by 24, and they want a 20 by 20 pole tent. So let me show you why that won't work. Okay, so another tent company called me to see if he could do a 20 by 20 tent, pole tent on a 15 by 24 deck. And I said, no, you can't. And these are the reasons. And this other company's kind of inexperienced. So the first reason is you need room for the side against the house for the ropes to come down to attach. So you can't start at the house. You first got to start about 3 feet out for all the poles on this side, so that you can then either screw something in the deck or attach the railing if they'll let you, or use weights. Then the next reason is every pole that is not on the deck now has to be 2 feet longer. So if you got 7-foot poles, now you need 9-foot poles. And then the third reason is your center pole needs to be 2 foot longer too, because it's going to be on the deck. So that would make a tent. This would just be the outline, not very good. That looks like that. So for a 2 foot tall deck, you need a 2 foot longer center pole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5 side poles that are 2 foot longer. It has to come 3 feet out. So now instead of covering 15 feet, you're only covering 12 feet of the deck. So there's no reason to do this. Ideally, what you'd want is a 15 by 20 frame tent. But even then, if this deck is exactly 15 feet, the railing is going to be cutting into your 15-foot width on your frame tent, and you may need to have some of it hang over and have longer legs. Tents on decks are okay. They can be accomplished, but most of the time, we turn them down just because of logistics. First of all, we would never do a pole tent on a deck. It would always be frame tents. And second of all, it's never as easy as it seems. So yeah, that's tents on decks. I just don't like them. I don't see it worth it. I'd rather wait and get that tent out in a yard or a parking lot. I don't really want to be messing around with decks. It's way harder than it seems. There's possibility of damaging people's house. Oh, and the feet will probably damage the deck. It takes way longer. It's not fun. Just my suggestion is just stay out of it. But if you do have to do it, charge double, charge triple. Like before I decided to stop doing it altogether, I charge triple. So if I got a 20 by 40 frame tent that goes out for $450, I charge triple to go on a deck. If they want to do it, then yes. But if they don't, then I don't seem like the asshole turning them down. It's just they don't like the price. But since then, I just don't do it. I'm not even wasting my time. So I suggest don't waste your time. Just wait for those easier jobs. Don't do a frame tent or pole tent on a deck. Thanks for watching. I know I said thanks for watching, but I just wanted to add one thing. I kind of bounced around there. I said we do it, and then I said we don't do it. So generally we say no now. Just someone calls and we say no. But there are a few that we do. We do a 30 by 60 frame tent at this one casino on their pavilion, on their like second level deck. It fits. It's got 2 feet on each side. It's not hard to do. The only sucky part is going up the stairs, but we charge appropriately for that. There's another event venue where a 30 by 30 frame tent fits perfectly. So basically we just say no to most individual house things. If it's something we're going to do over and over again, then we'll go out, measure, see how it goes. We do one in a zoo where they're built a pavilion with a deck off of it, where they built it exactly so a 30 by 60 frame tent can fit. So we do that all the time. I know a few viewers, one that pretty close to me that does one at a bar all the time on their deck, and it seems to fit perfectly. He knows what he's doing. He's going to be doing it over and over and over again. So even though I say stay away, don't do it, if it's something that can be accomplished or something you're going to be doing over and over and over again so that you know what to expect each time, then go ahead and say yeah. Don't just say no to all of them. We used to do this one at this bar where they had a very small indoor bar. It was mostly outdoor, and we were doing it almost every Thursday because we have a brewery around us that does concerts every Thursday. It's called Saranac. So there's a thing called Saranac Thursdays where everyone goes down to the street And so Thursdays, if it was going to rain, he needed a tent to be outside. The only problem was there was a bar in the way. So what we ended up doing was buying 4-foot legs for all our frame tents so we could set the frame up kind of in the air. It was a little harder, but we set it up in the air, then put the tent top over it while it was 4 feet off the ground, and then lifted it up to 8 feet. And so because I was doing that every weekend, I had no problem investing in those 4-foot legs and figuring this out. So we figured it out and it went easy. A little harder than setting it up on the ground than lifting it, but we were doing it over and over and over and over again. So I said yes. He went out of business, but I would still do it if he didn't go out of business. So don't take it as just say no to all of them. Do it case by case basis, just like we do. I would generally just say no to the private customers who are just doing a graduation party or Memorial Day party or something. But if it's a business and they plan on doing this over and over again, go out, take a look, see if it works. And if it doesn't work, easily, you can figure out how to get longer legs or other innovative ways to figure it out. Because once you do it once, and you keep going back, it'll just keep getting easier and easier and easier. Just as easy, a little bit harder than setting up on the ground, but you'd have the experience and it would go pretty quick. So don't say no to all of them. Just say no to the one-offs, but go check out the businesses that are going to do it over and over again. Now, thanks for watching.